Okay, whoops. Back in the man cave, just like that. Boom! Crazy, man. It is absolutely insane how fast time flies. Isn't it? It's absolutely insanity how fast time flies. It's so frustrating for me sometimes because I'm so aware of it. It drives me kind of bonkers in a way, but that's why we don't waste any minutes, right? But anyway, yeah, we made it home. I don't know how far, I forget, 16 hours or something one way. And then, of course, all my luck, picked up a frickin' bug again, both of us. Oh my god. Got into the whole way flying over, snot and snot and snot. Poor Sarah's head is pounding up her shoulders. It's unfortunate, but it's just the way it goes, you know. When you travel, especially when you go to the tropics, or you get your northern blood, you know, northern person goes to the tropics. One or two things is gonna get you, almost guaranteed. It's either gonna be the food, the bacteria that your body's not used to, or being around all those people. Somebody's gonna be sick, right? And we're definitely using the same swimming pool as many people all the time. The ocean, we're around a pile of different people from around the world nonstop. And then you get to the small hotel that we got right near the Bangkok airport. And there's a shit pile of people there and a small swimming pool. I think I got it there. I don't know. And then you get on the plane and there's people hacking on the plane. Ugh. So gross, right? When somebody's hacking away on the plane, you look over and they're not even covering their frickin' mouth when they do it. Oh well. But anyway, we got into the airport, yesterday morning? At about, I don't remember what time, I was so sick. And we just kind of sat there, got some Advil and some coffee and sat there trying to make the decision whether or not I'm going to try to go home. And ended up going to Bass Pro anyway. After the Tylenol coffee kicked in with the Bass Pro, there's a bunch of sales on there. Got some new camo for hunting. Jumped the truck, went to the ferry, got home, and died. Poor Ruby. She went absolutely crazy. And sticking to me like frickin' glue. And Sarah made me stay in bed this morning. I managed to stay in bed till like 12 or 1 o'clock. I couldn't move. I'm so sick right now, but whatever. Poor Ruby, she would not leave me alone. She jumped up on the bed and laid beside me the whole time. But anyway, there you go. Back. Lots to do. It's -10 this morning. Snow all over the place. I got the small heater going beside me. I hope the hum's not too much. I don't think the camera picks it up, because every time I complain about background sound, everybody says they can't hear it, so here I am, back in the cave. It's good to be back and bad to be back in a way. Not bad, but you know what I mean. It's good to be back, but it's just such a drastic change. Being sick when you just get back just sucks, but whatever. Nothing worse than laying around. Now, I can get right into hearing some people speak. And now I got back, I can set up my computer in here and get some things done, get a hold of all you people who want to get a hold of. First, I'm going to do this. This is titled New Mexico Elk Hunters 2020, 4 pictures included. Alright, let's do it. Hi Steve, it's Adam Seiss from Albuquerque, New Mexico. First, I want to apologize about all the names and locations here in New Mexico. All of our last names and mountain ranges are in Spanish. Nothing is spelled like it sounds unless you speak Spanish. I get it. I wish I knew how to speak Spanish. I grew up with them trying to shove French up our asses, and I didn't receive it. So I'm just more familiar with the English versions of everything. I do have a handful of news stories for you and the Club in a return. We just got back from the September 24 bow hunt. I didn't draw this year, so our family and friends just go out to their hunting camp, cook and relax, and enjoy each other's company. 3 individuals drew elk this year in our group. We had a new bow hunter by the name of Brandon in our group this year. He's part of those rough and tough cowboys from Hemis that I told you about in my last email. They are the ones that have had many Sabe encounters in the woods, but do not like to admit what is really going on. We sent Brandon off in some prime hunting areas. He went on his own to hunt, so he gets a feel for the woods on his own. Get a chance to try out all his new equipment and not get lost. While he was hunting deep on a ridge, he found a skeleton of a deer or a small elk hanging in a blue spruce Christmas tree about 16 feet tall. The skeleton was not complete. It was missing legs and a head, just the spine and the ribs with the hip bones. He took out his phone and snapped a few pictures of it, thinking to himself, why would a cougar or a person would put a deer in a tree? But then, how would a cougar have climbed a Christmas tree? It didn't make sense. As he's going to start to walk away, he said he heard what he said was a man screaming really loud for over 30 seconds without stopping. It made the hairs on his body stand up, so he started walking faster. And less than a minute later, another long scream. He walked a couple of miles until he found some of the other hunters. He asked if they had heard the man screaming, and they had not heard anything. When they got back to camp, he told me the story and showed me the picture of the skeleton in the tree. I told him he may want to choose a different area. Something didn't want him in that area. This was Sunday afternoon, and many of us had to go back to work on Monday. So out of 20 of that were there, only 3 hunters stayed. That night, while Brandon was sleeping, in the back of his fifth wheel, something hit or slapped the door of the camper so loud that he jumped out of the bed. He looked outside, but the camp was completely dark, and no one was outside. He was able to go back to sleep, and nothing else happened to him that day. He went back home on Tuesday for work and wouldn't be back on Friday night. Wednesday, a different cousin came up to help with the hunt. He slept in the same bed Brandon slept in. And that night, about 3 a.m. in the morning, he was awoken by a loud slap on the corner door. He sat up and yelled out and said, "Hey!" No one answered back. He thought maybe he was dreaming, so he laid back down. He had not fallen back asleep when another hard slap hit the door. Well, he knew he wasn't imagining this one. He took the safety off of his pistol, opened the door, and shined the light all around the camper. Walked all around the camper, and nothing. No branches fell on it, no cows or animals around. He walked over to the other camper his cousin was in, knocked on the door and opened it. He yelled out for his cousin. Rick yelled back, "What's going on?" Chris said, "Were you knocking on the door?" And Rick said no. He told him, "Never mind, go back to bed," and shut the door. Chris stayed up the rest of the night with the lights on in the camper, pistol in hand, hanging out until it was time to go hunting. He never heard anything else that night. I got a call from them the next day, and they told me what was going on with the camper being hit at night, and of course I believed them. How many times have we heard the same story here about Sabe slapping or hitting the walls? I told them the stories I've heard on your channel. I told them that I've learned from your show that the Sabe leave greasy handprints on what they touch. So, I told them when they get back to camp to walk around the camper and see if you see some hand or footprints. They called me back that afternoon and said, "Guess what? We found 4 handprints all over the door area of the camper. No footprints because there was lots of grass." I again told them to stay out of that area and go somewhere different to hunt. It's a big mountain. And that was it for our new encounters on the hunt. Now, Brandon totally believes and knows that Sabe exist. But Chris, he's the one that has had the most encounters and still denies and makes excuses on each of his encounters. I guess it's he's out there on his own deep in the woods on a horse. It's easier to believe no one else is around you or watching you when you're out there all alone. And the second story took place in the first week of December 2024. We went back to Hemis to get a Christmas tree. And while driving the forest roads, stopping, walking, and looking for the perfect tree, I told my buddy Paul, "Check it out. Did you see those tracks you just walked over in the snow?" He said, "What was it, a bear?" I told him, "No." Excuse me. Excuse me. I told him, "No, it has 2 legs, not 4. He said, "Was it someone walking in snowshoes?" I told him you would see where the snowshoes would be dragging, making a trail or a ditch as they were walking in the foot of snow, and the footprints would be side by side. These tracks are right in line with the other footprint. I used crutches, so I put my crutch between the tracks, and they were more than 5 feet apart, and they were in line, like if it was walking on a rail. Same as many of the stories sent into your show. When this was happening, my wife was yelling for me to come and look at something she found by the truck about 50 yards away. I had her look at what I had found in the snow first, and she freaked out on how clear the prints were and how big the strides were in between the steps. I just wished the tracks were fresher so you could see foot and toe prints. What my wife wanted to show me was 2 footprint tracks by the truck all by themselves. Those tracks were melting, but you could clearly see where the toe outline of the foot and toes would be. Everyone asks us if we followed the tracks in the dark forest. Nope, I'm good. I saw enough of the tracks to know it was there and that they exist. I don't need to follow them. I never thought we'd get our campers slapped or see footprints or hear them. I think we may be tagged. Every time we go to the woods, one of us has some sort of an encounter. I attached some pictures of the skeleton in the Christmas tree and the handprints on the camper door. Also the footprints in the snow. The drawing/painting of Sabe was done by a young boy from the Four Corners area after his encounter. The family put the image on their Christmas card, just in case if any of the Club of No Return members would like to check them out. Take from what you will, or leave it. Third story. I shot a nice 10-point mule deer 2 years ago. When I shot him with the crossbow, he was about 25 yards away. As he jogged away, I could already see blood coming out of his side. He went up the hill about 30-40 yards away and just stood there. I told my wife, let's leave him alone so he can lay down and we go back to camp to get some help to get him out of there. Like I mentioned, I used crutches and there would be no way I could pack him out on my own. We got back to that area with help in about an hour. We instantly found the blood trail. Blood was squirting out both sides of him, painting the ground and the trees. Then the blood just stopped. Everyone left me where the blood stopped to go look around in all directions, and I sat on the ground to see if I could pick up what direction he went. Where the blood stopped, I saw not more tracks or blood. No way that amount of blood would just stop. No drag marks, and an animal did not pull it apart or bury it. It's like something picked it up. No other hunters went down that logging road, only my tracks. We were all so dumbfounded. I even was looking up in the trees. We never found my buck. That sucks. This thing focused in this time, kinda, sorta. Good enough. Fourth story. My brother-in-law drives truck between Albuquerque and Farmington every evening/night. I asked him if he ever saw anything weird on that stretch of road, and he said the only weird experience was about 7 p.m. The sun had just set, but you could totally still see. Excuse me. He was traveling north, and on the left of the highway he could see a coyote walking next to the barbed wire fence. He looked forward and then back at the coyote, and now was running the same direction as his truck. He notices it was running the same speed as his truck, which was going 75 miles an hour. What the hell? No sooner did he realize the coyote was running at the same speed, it turned left under the wires and disappeared in the grass field. I don't think coyotes can run 75 miles an hour. I don't know. I don't know that was. Probably meant what that was. I just watched your show on January 27, 25, and you asked how the forest people would know how to sound like a woman screaming for help. I may have a theory. So many bad things happen in the woods or on dark roads when criminals think no one is watching them in the cover of night. Murders, rapes, abductions, and torture. I'm sure Sabe see all the horrible things that humans do to each other. When someone is screaming out for help or in pain, I'm sure the Sabe can hear and feel the emotion and terror in their voices. They probably understand the power those words and screams actually have. It seems they may be trying to use the word help to their benefit or advantage. 99% of humans would look up or pay attention when they hear this word help, and again, we are assuming it is a Sabe related. It could be any of the other cryptids out there in the woods. All I know is, if I hear someone screaming for help, they better say something else besides help. Like a complete sentence, so I know that it is a real person before I go to chasing after them. A few days ago I had told my mom what we had found in the snow getting our Christmas tree this year, and she asked me, do I think the Sabe ever kidnap anyone? I said yes. there have been stories sent in of that happening. I asked why. She said when she was a little girl, her mother would tell them stories of a girl that got kidnapped by a monster in the mountains of northern New Mexico back in the 30s. She did return, but she was pregnant. She supposedly had the baby, and everyone knew him by the name Osito, Spanish for little bear. That was because he was very hairy, that he lived in their little community. She could not remember anything else. My mom said she would ask my aunts that are older than her to see if they could remember any more of the story. I'll write up in again if I get any more on it. I will keep going forward with my research and telling our story and seeing if we can get any new answers to all the questions we have about our crazy life. It's really starting to hear lots of New Mexico encounters from your show. Thanks for all you do. I've learned so much from everyone sharing their stories, and you taking the time every day to read them. Keep praying for our world and looking into the Bible. We all need our godly weapons to defeat evil. Remember, the devil is a liar and a deceiver. Don't get the wool pulled over your eyes. P.S. My wife wanted me to tell you that she can't fall asleep without hearing you on the TV. I can't fall asleep when your show's on. I may miss something. Well, there's the pictures right away. Ooh, that's a big footprint. There they are in line. The deer in the tree. Nothing new. And no, it wasn't a cat. There's a lot of people just, I cougar there, they do it all the time. Go find someone who you know who hunts cats with hounds, and they will tell you straight up, alright? I mean, I'll tell everybody feeling purple in the face. Cougars don't drag their whole carcass kills up in trees, and they especially don't hang them perfectly on a branch. They don't. Nothing does in North America. None of the natural four-legged prey animals we're familiar with do that in North America. End of story. I like my Christmas card I got yesterday. It's a hand drawn by a boy who saw Bigfoot, and this is what he drew. There you go, that's interesting. Here's the crutch, inline prints, and there you go. Welcome to the club, and thank you for the email, man. Appreciate it, and thanks for the promise to keep us updated on other shit that you learn along your ride, too. And the Four Corners, man, that place has been ongoing. I'm just saving these photos in here so I can edit them into the video. But the Four Corners, hold on, they've been, okay, I'll shut this off for 1 second. Alright. Yeah, the Four Corners, oh man, I hate when my brain farts. My brain's full of snot right now, but what was the name of that real good guy? He was on my social media, messaged me a few times. He died a few years ago, and he was really, really avid and keen and looked into what was going on in the Four Corners. And one with a lot of First Nations people from there too. That area is a host to a lot of stuff going on that we aren't taught about. Why? I don't know. Don't know. The Arizona Four is a group of avid guys here on this channel that go along all the time around there, and they're in communication with these people as well. But get on to the screaming part and mimicking women, and that's how they do it from hearing human women being violated in the woods. I don't mean it's definitely good theory. Who knows? I don't know. He might have nailed it on the head. I don't know. But for me, if I had to make a guess, only going by what all of the people here have shared with us, right? If I had to make a guess, an excuse as to why they mimic a woman's shrieks and screams and not anything else, I don't know. Excuse me, if that's what the main thing they've heard to mimic, it'd be pretty tough for me to jump on board that one. Only because we've watched kids catching fish with their dads, people hunting, people camping, people hiking, people calling their dogs. People saying, yeah, I got one, when they're fishing. There's all sorts of human words and short phrases that are very typical and common in the woods, right? Not just, and way more common than a human being violated or ripped apart or murdered. But the one of the main clues for me that that's not the case would be just the fact that full-on, understandable, clear English words in English are placed in so many people's minds in the woods. So many people that have reported here firsthand. They heard the words clearly and it wasn't their voice. Right? Spoken smoothly. Get out of here. Go now. Turn around and leave. You come forward or stay, you're going to be dead. I'm going to kill you. You know what I mean? And that's not mimicking somebody getting pulled apart in the woods. That's getting something right directly across clearly to that typical human being out there enjoying their time in the woods. Right? Anyway, appreciate the email, man. Keep us updated. Email anytime you can. Please. Please, please, please. This next email, these are all recent, by the way. This next email is titled, Gotcha. Odd title. Hi, Steve. Can I say your name? Starts off with the name. Mike Sweeney here. This isn't really read worthy to the masses, but it's your call if you want to read it, and you can use my name. It's getting read. I watched your video from 4 days ago. Today is Monday, February 10th. I got what you're saying about you being grateful. I got you, Steve. Stay real. I don't know anyone else I could say that about. And I'm 72. Maybe my age has made me more astute in picking up on the liars and the assholes. I guess the older we get, the more we meet. Yeah, no doubt. Every morning before I get up, I pick 5 things I'm grateful for and express my gratitude every morning. You're on that list now. I'm grateful I found your channel. Oh, right on, man. Appreciate that. You're the real deal. Genuine, truthful, refreshingly genuine, inspiring. You're honest. I'd love to be your friend, perhaps the next life. Appreciate the kind words, man. I'd say we're friends now. Yes, when I get to my supernatural cabin property, I get out of my truck, look at the trail entrance that my lab can't take his eyes off whenever we are there, ever, and announce myself. I say out loud, I'm back, I'm fine if you are here too. If you mean no harm, you may interact with me. I have respect for you, but I have no fear of you. If you're not a threat, then I'm not either. All that knowing that my encounter so far could be categorized as at least being aggressive. And as you said, I have on multiple occasions walked out into the forest with nothing until my gut said stop. I'll sit on the ground against a tree and relax and wait. Sometimes for a short while, sometimes for a day. I will at times feel one of 2 things. Deeply foreboding or neutral. The first puts me in a state of hypervigilance. I mentally do de-stressing exercises. I've read that some animals can smell cortisol, the stress hormone. I don't want to smell like prey, lol. Me neither. Anywho, in many ways we think alike. The more I watch you, the more it confirms that. Don't stop doing what you're doing. Appreciate you more than you know, Mike. Mike, appreciate you too, man. I really appreciate that email. Thank you. Thank you very much. Sounds like you got it dialed. As far as hanging out in the same zones, right? You let them know you know. And you're not there to be an idiot. So please don't be an idiot to me. It works for the most part, right? For the most part. Now, I get so many good emails from people of support and kind words. I really appreciate it. And then I just fire right back at everybody here. I mean, we are all in this together. There's nothing better for me than when people come out here, come forward. It takes bravery to come forward, right? And stand your ground and speak your truth. And I appreciate all the people that do that. Big time. Man, do I ever. Now, what's this? Hold on a minute. Where are we? Hold on a minute. Hold on. Sorry. I'm so frickin' soggy between the ears right now. It's absolutely... it's gross, but... Come on, where are we? I don't know what this is about, but I found one. I mean, I got back to where I'm supposed to be in here. Unknowns, unseens, unspokens. Title of this email. As all us grandkids ran out the door, we could hear our grandmother say, "Mind the unknowns, unseens, and unspokens." This may not mean much to you, but we knew the consequences of not heeding that warning. Who I am isn't important, however, the stories I have to tell are. These stories have been passed down from generation to generation. I will retell them to the best of my ability, and then tell some of my own experiences. Unknowns are things such as Bigfoot, Dogman, Skinwalker. Things we can see, we just don't know what they are. Unseens are like the predator, but also the times when you swear a bird or something flew by, or a deer or something ran by you, but you can't find it. Unspokens are the littles, and you don't speak about them, and you sure don't speak to them. Names been changed because I can't remember the real names. Alright, here we go. Story number 1. It's fall, late 1870s. And Jack was down by the shanty by the river bend in the garden bottoms of Yell County, Arkansas. Now this shanty was just big enough for a full-size bed with a frame, a nightstand, a wood stove, and a settee? It is my understanding a settee is a wooden box that sits at the end of the bed and is used for storage and sitting on. As Jack was lounging in bed, he heard a horse approaching and thought it must be his brother bringing more supplies. However, when this horse walked up on the porch, Jack knew it wasn't his brother. Jack is sitting on the settee, and there is less than 2 feet between him and the door. And as he's looking at the door, it slowly starts to open and a hand slides around the door. This was no normal looking hand. It had long, dirty nails and hair between each knuckle. Well, Jack was having no part of this and leaned back against the bed and kicked the door shut with both feet. The hand flexed and the creature yelled out in pain and began running off. Jack jumped up, grabbed his gun, and ran out on the porch, only to see a centaur running across the open field screaming. Something between a horse's neigh and a child's scream. Shit. As he's watching this young centaur, its parents came out of the woods, looked at the child's hand, and then retreated back into the woods. For years, the people would see unshod hoof prints, and apples would be picked from the tops of trees. That's interesting. Holy shit. Story number 2. It's the mid-50s, and a group of World War II vets are fox hunting up north of Dover, Pope County, Arkansas. Fox hunting meaning they stood around the fire and argued over whose dog was in the lead. There were about 5 hunters, and each hunter had 4 dogs, so 20 dogs total, and they were on the scent of something when suddenly they went from baying to yelping, snarling and growling. Along with the dogs, they could hear something that kind of sounded humanish, kind of sounded apish, and kind of sounded like a bear. Then suddenly silence. The whole woods went quiet. Even the crackle of the fire seemed to not exist. Then, just as quickly the woods went back to normal, and some of the dogs started making it back to the fire. Every single dog that came back was injured, broken tails and legs, bitten ears, eyes hanging from the socket. Sadly, some dogs didn't return, so the next morning those men went looking for them, and they only found pieces of the remaining dogs. The others wouldn't hunt after this. Wow. Story 3, it's mid-1930s, and Bob, Dan, and Steve are heading out to go fishing up around Treat, Arkansas. They have to walk about 5 miles out of town to get to their spot. They get their hooks baited, and in the water, when they hear it, the heavy breathing and the pacing around behind them, the low growl and hiss. They roll their lines back up and start heading back to town, hanging one lantern on a pole behind them and another on a pole in front of them as this creature ran all around them just out of the light. It would follow them until they got to the street lights of town before screaming and running off. The townspeople say it was a black panther, but these men said it walked on 2 legs and made calculated moves. Story 4. James, Devin, Sarah, and Phil are all roaming around on Buck Mountain, Dover, Arkansas in the late 70s when Phil sees something and screams, "It is Bigfoot," then turns and runs through a barbed wire fence, jumps right back up, continues screaming and running. then refused to go out at night after that and was adamant he saw Bigfoot. Story 5. Kevin had driven his new 1989 Ford Ranger out into the freshly cut and baled hayfield just to enjoy the amazing night sky. Just enough moon to see, but not enough to drown out the stars. And Kevin is in the back of his truck when he looks in all directions and can see approximately 100 yards in any direction. After looking at the entire field, he looks up at the stars only to feel the ground shake and something very large run by. Kevin looks in the direction of the sound. The sound went only to see nothing. He heard the footfalls, felt them also, but saw nothing. All in an open field with 100 yards visibility in every direction. Now it's time for my stories. I'm 8. It's berry picking season. 1980, north of Dover, Arkansas. We always went to the same berry patch and would start around 7, and then around 2 we would hit the swimming hole. This time was different. After only about 2 hours of picking, my grandpa yelled out, "Ma, it's time to go." Next thing I know, my uncle has thrown me over his shoulder and is running out of the berry patch, and we hauled it out of there. I asked what happened, only to be told, "Don't worry about it." Later that day, I heard story 2 for the first and heard my grandpa say he was back. When I was 15, we lived on an 80-acre farm with a 450-foot chicken-laying house. We gathered approximately 9,500 eggs per day. That's a lot of omelets. It was midsummer around 9:30 p.m. and I drove up to the chicken house to start the feed and get the egg count. I went in the egg room, then walked halfway down the inside of the house to the feed room, then went outside to the silo to start the feed. After starting the feed, I was going to walk the road back to the egg room. Then I heard it. The scream. It wasn't necessarily loud, but it lasted around 2 minutes and I could feel it. What? You mean like one lung load? 2 minutes long? You know how insane that would be. Oh, excuse me. I turned and ran back inside the chicken house and every chicken was looking in the direction of the sound. I made it to the egg room and my car is only about 15 feet from the door and I'm debating over mad dashing into the car or waiting a few more minutes when I hear my dad's 1-ton diesel with glass packs start up and haul it to the chicken house. The way he was driving, it didn't take a genius to figure out he had heard it too. He runs into the egg room. We make eye contact and I say, "You heard it too?" He says, no. I just come to make sure you remembered to get the egg count." "Yeah, right, Dad. God rest your soul." For years after this event, I would see him, the Bigfoot, in my dreams. Then, just about a year ago, I was watching a Scott Carpenter video of pictures he had of Bigfoot and saw him again. He had aged, but it was the same one. DeQueen Park, DeQueen, Arkansas in 1995, maybe 96. It's after midnight. A group of us are hanging at the park, talking and having fun, when I see red eyes. Not glowing, just red. I looked at Jeff and said, "Do you see that?" He says, "Yeah, red eyes." Then we both kind of shudder and looked around, and it's almost like we were there with the group, but not there. We could see they were talking, but couldn't hear them. After 30 seconds later, the eyes were gone and everything went back to normal. That's frickin' bizarre. But that's a huge puzzle piece waiting to be slotted in. Meaning that moment where everything seems to go absolutely changes, right? Hearing, sounds, everything, but not for everyone. What the F is up with that? Around 2019, early September, the husband and I are out trail riding and decide to take a walk up trail to see its potential. After only going about 15 yards up the trail, the woods got eerily quiet, and my get the heck out of there meter goes to maximum. We never saw anything, but felt like we were being watched and weren't welcome. These are all I can remember. If I think of more, I'll email them in. Please don't use my name. I gotcha. I won't. I better check the beginning. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I didn't read your name. Okay, good. There you go. Appreciate that email. And you explained where Now let's just see how many other people chime in, either in an email or in the comment section below, of having experiences in the same zone. Right? Now, one sec, just gotta go check on the dog. I'll be right back. Alright. Super dog is quite fine. She's outside. I got her on a lead out in the front here. She freaks out in snow. Like, absolutely freaks out. Excuse me, she wants to lay in it and play in it. She got a big pile of snow there. My neighbor was maintaining our driveway for us while we were away. So there's a big pile of snow there. Now, who else? Man, there's a... apparently I was texting with a friend of mine who lives not far from here, and he said there's a real shit-eating flu ripping around right now here in BC. I don't know, maybe somewhere else too, but like he said his wife had a temperature of 103. I don't think that's too good. And I text back, I go, a flu? Really? How come they didn't call it COVID this time? Right? Oops. But anyway, then Sarah has a bunch of friends in Squamish said the same thing. There's a real badass flu ripping around. Here, side note, no, I don't know what I got. I just got it in my chest, my head. He'll go away. Got lots more emails, but one quick note. Side, I'm gonna tell you guys a quick, kind of funny story, but sort of funny, but not funny. So I was just watching online. There's a man, an 83-year-old man, that's got pinched for robbing a bank. I think it was outside of Austin. I just saw the clip on it. Poor old fart. And he just said, he just showed him standing there talking to the judge via video screen and said flat out, he needed the money. He doesn't have any money, I guess. Whatever. So he wanted to go steal it from the bank, and I guess he did it just with a note. And it reminded me, back in the day, back when I was a kid, when you went to the bank, there'd be like a little table. There'd be a few tables out on the main floor for the customers to come in, and you pull out, and there'd be stacks of deposit or withdrawal slips, and you pull it out, and you write down all your information, what you want to do with withdraw, your bank account number, your name, the date, and all. You just fill it out, piece of paper, stacked up slips. I'm sick as F right now, so I might not be as smooth as I think I am speaking. But anyway. And then you get your slip, and then you go to the teller, the bank teller, and pass her your banknote. And then she does whatever the slip's for. So my grandfather, the one that saw the Sasquatch, get this one, poor old fart. He goes to the bank, fills out his withdrawal, just grabs the slip. There's a stack of these notes in little slots all around the table. Grabs the one banknote, fills it out, gives it to the teller. And I guess, they look at it and they flip it over to stamp it. Flips it over. And some asshole had wrote on the back of the slip, this is a hold-up, empty, give me all your money, or whatever it was. And they put the slip back in the stack, and my poor grandfather was the lucky recipient of that one slip. And the cops came and surrounded and did the whole 9 yards until they figured out what was going down. What a shitty deal, eh? Some asshole put that on the back of a slip being a comedian, and my grandfather was the one who got it. But that reminded me, hearing that poor old guy on TV robbing the bank with that banknote, that reminded me that happened to my grandfather. Thought I showed that one. Yeah, got dog hairs everywhere. Next email is titled, Experience in Chilliwack River Valley. Ground zero for a lot of these forest people. I've been listening to your YouTube channel on and off for quite some time and thought I'd relay my experience. British immigrant here, moved to Chilliwack in 2016 with my family. Shortly after arriving, my wife and I, with our youngest, went on a hike up near Pierce Lake in the Chilliwack River Valley. We saw nobody that day, and the rains had just started the day before. There was 1 or 2 uprooted trees with all their roots and earth exposed, and at one point my youngest and I were whacking the earth off the exposed roots with a couple of sticks we were using as hiking poles. My wife eventually told us both to stop, as time was ticking. And when we did, within a few seconds, a rock came flying out of the bush up ahead of us and hit a tree 2 to 3 meters in front of us. Whilst my wife was asking me if I'd thrown it, a second rock came from the same direction and struck the same tree. The trajectory and speed of it gave no doubt it was thrown deliberately. We got an immediate, overwhelming sense of fear and decided to get out of there quick. Before we began moving quickly down the trail, I could clearly hear something large or heavy breaking and moving around the bush above us, and we got back down to our vehicle eventually very quickly and got on the lake road and went home. To this day, my wife doesn't like to go anywhere near that area. No doubt. Welcome to BC. Like I said, saw no sight or sound of any person up there, and it's not an area where homeless reside. I hike pretty much every weekend here and quite often explore old logging roads and FSR. Love the outdoors and nature. I work as a physiotherapist, and I've had several accounts told to me by select patients over the years from this area. I came across quite a large footprint myself once, and I've heard strange vocalizations in the area too. 2 to 3 occasions had a palpable sense of being watched, which was unnerving at the time. I've hiked numerous times out at Sasquatch Provincial Park too. I know historically there's been some recorded sightings over the years, but I rarely hear of anything recent, as it seems most people in this area don't wish to talk about it, in my opinion. And most I ever mention it to think it's nonsense. Keep up the good work. Cheers, Rob. There you go, Rob. Good for you escaping the tyrannical government you got ripping the place apart in the UK. And welcome to the club. They're there, obviously. They've always been around there. And there's a lot of people around there that know it. The people that think it's hogwash, well, they're probably the same ones that live their entire life within 50 meters of the yellow line on any road too, right? No big deal. It doesn't have to be accepted mainstream, that's for sure. That's for sure. But the people, as long as the people stick together and speak the truth to each other, that's all we need, right? That's all you need. Excuse me. Well, here's another one. Listen to this. The title of this one is, Literally Just Happened, My Hands Are Still Cold. Alright, and this is dated February 12th, 2025. Holy shit, Steve, LOL. I've been listening since the beginning. May have been the first person you told, quote, you know what it was, end quote. Even recently sent in my partial theory about watcher encounters. Thank God I've been paying attention. Thank you for the round table. I woke up a little after 1 a.m. and couldn't sleep. I've been off for about a week, so my sleep schedule is all over the place. But I'm used to getting up at 2 a.m. So after an hour of Facebook scrolling, I got up. I got dressed and was going out to the garage for a smoke, but I decided since the weather is clear and the moon full, I go for a walk. This is Acme, Washington, about due east of your place. It's a little sparrow fart of a town. I walked past the store and diner to the Highway 9 bridge north of town, approximately a quarter mile away. Once across the bridge, I immediately noticed that the elk herd that's been hanging around town for the past few weeks is in the field, and there are a couple of them that had just come up from the river and were waiting on the side of the road, Mosquito Lake Road, to see what I was up to. I stopped to wait for them to rejoin the herd before I proceeded up the road. Then I took a trail down onto the river bar. The water's very low right now with the freeze. I looked at the full moon, trying to imagine 6 months from now standing in the same spot with the sun on my face. Then I heard something in the bushes across the water, so I listened. A few more rustlings. And by this time, they came to mind. So I tried not to focus on any one spot. But with couple quick glance, I think I'm seeing pinpricks of light reflecting off the water. I'm still not sure if my eyes are playing tricks on me. And then kerplunk. It sounded like a melon-sized rock landed in the water. Then soft owl-like hoots coming from the brush. After all the stories from the people, I had no doubts as to what was going on. In my head, I told them that I was honored and thanked them for announcing themselves, for lack of a better phrase, and good luck with their hunt. Then, knowing I was between them and the elk herd, I decided to head home. I never felt scared, more excited than anything, and as I crossed the bridge and walked by the wooded area where they were, I thought I could see flickers of light or eye shine. What astounds me is the close quarters this all happened in. It was maybe 120 feet from the road to the other side of the river. The splash was maybe 35 feet away from me. My whole walk was barely half a mile. Not a sighting, granted, but I have no doubts what it was, thanks to the information relayed through you. And P.S. I'm really thinking there is something to the positive ions of living waters, i.e. waterfalls, rapids, rivers, etc., reacting with the abilities of the mind, ours and theirs, auras and electromagnetic fields, and these interferences leading to more encounters in these places. Thanks again. Am I allowed to use your name? I do that every email. Let's call you Wade. Wade, appreciate it, man. I don't think he didn't say. I see it to me every single time now. I'm so paranoid about screwing up and screwing somebody by saying their name when they said not to. I appreciate that email, Wade. Appreciate it. They're there. Elk. You know, is there anything about the elk? You know, a buddy of mine, same one that was just texting me earlier about the flu going around here and his wife hitting 103-degree temperature, and he's delivering lumber, and he's texting me this morning. He goes, he said he saw just over 100 elk near the highway. I think he said it was just south of Duncan on Vancouver Island. And they texted me again and said he saw another 30 or 40 near Mill Bay elk. And then he saw some more. Oh, he saw a dead one by the airport in Cassidy. And you know, there's a lot of elk around here. I haven't really been running around too much on the island, but enough. You know, like those island elk that I went after with all the trail cameras this year and all the steelheading spots I go to where the elk are. And I'm not seeing any carcasses anywhere. Not that I am 100% convinced that these people need to hunt here to survive ultimately. I don't think they're here full time myself. So, if they were here full time, I would personally probably be finding a lot more evidences. I would be finding a lot more instances of elk being preyed on, which I'm not. You know what I mean? I'm not finding it at all. The only elk carcasses I've ever seen have been from wolf kills or from people shooting them and leaving them, or from bull elk getting harpooned from antlers during the rut. And the elk seem to be reproducing like crazy. The deer, not so much. But it is interesting. I mean, obviously they take it, they hunt it, kill it, or they take it and they eat it. That's 100%. But man, you got to think of how many. The area, just take North America, where these people are being seen. How would you even guess at how many individuals there are? I haven't a clue. You know, there's some people out there, I think they call themselves a biologist, and they've given out their prospective numbers of how many Sasquatch are running around the forest of North America. Ram it up your ass, you idiot. You know what I mean? Holy shit. That's about as comical as our biologist trying to tell us how many black bears are in the province of BC. Please, give me a break. But anyway, I don't know what the number would be. I haven't a clue. I don't know what the number... Where are they coming from? Where do they go to? You know what I mean? That's something else. That one, that mystery right there. That is one hell of a mystery. When they vanish, where are they going? You know what I mean? A lot of people don't want to accept that fact that's going down. Whatever. I don't give a shit what you accept as real or not myself, but I know one thing for sure. There's some crazy ass shit going on right alongside of us that we just cannot wrap our melons around, right? And it's going down. Always has been going down, always will be going down. And for whatever effing reason it is, we're not allowed in that club. Why not? You know what I mean? Why are we not allowed in that club? I don't know about it. That's frustrating. The track's just going right up the mountain, came to the edge of the cliff, and that was all she wrote. Right? The track's going all the way across the field in the snow, and then they just stopped. Where'd they go? Where'd they go? Where is that place they went? Where? You know what I mean? That's a mystery I want to know. I would love to know the answer for that one right there. I would really love to know it. You know how my buddy Mount Curry, his friend, Dan the man, his friend, hiking with friends in a patch of timber I used to go after wolves in. And the one guy was ahead of the group on the trail. Next thing you know, boom, he gets up off the ground behind them. Go down the trail. Where'd he go? Where did he go? How did he go? And how did he get back here successfully without some kind of a weird cancer, sickness? You know what I mean? Memory of exactly where he went in between, however that went down. There's some weird ass shit going on. I'm babbling. Oh, but I'm not feeling good, so that's my freebie ticket for sounding like a psycho the odd time today. Now, excuse me. Another one. Recent. All today's emails are recent. Bigfoot question mark in northern Minnesota. Hey, my name is Mark. And my dad and I deer hunted at his uncle's small dairy farm in southern St. Louis County in northern Minnesota. I'm not even sure what year it was, but it had to be November 74 or 75 because I wasn't carrying a rifle yet. And I was when I turned 12 in 76. My cousin and I were doing dishes after dinner because that's what the youngest ones had to do. The window over the kitchen sink looked out into the farmyard, and there was a light pole that lit up the area. The bottom of this window was about 6 feet off the ground, with the top of it at over 8 feet. And as we were doing dishes, I looked out the window and saw something looking down on us. It was very close to the height of the top of the window. I saw eyes and a nose, not a snout, and a mouth. I could see a sort of a shine when the light from inside reflected off of its skin. I don't recall any eyes shine. It startled the hell out of me. And I choked out some kind of a noise, and when I did, my cousin looked up and saw it too. He let out a yell and got the attention of the few guys that were still sitting around the dining room table. They asked what was going on, and we both said something is outside looking out the window. At least two of them came to look, and at least one ran out the door to go around the corner of the house to look. There was nothing there by then, and since there wasn't any snow and the ground was frozen on top, there were no tracks either. They raised bees for honey, and they said that bears come around all the time to try and get it, and maybe one was trying one last time before it hibernated. They convinced us that it had to be a bear. But I know what a bear's nosy face looks like, and it's not what I saw. They had a 100-pound plus dog that used to go after wolves and chase whatever else come into the yard, but it was nowhere to be found. A black bear would have to be record-breaking to be as tall as the top of that window. And my cousin, rest in peace, was never much of a deer hunter after that, at least not up there. My dad passed in 91, and I haven't been hunting there since, but when I was still going there, that incident was always in the back of my mind. I guess they kind of convinced the 10, 11-year-old kid that he was probably a bear, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't. I've told the story to a few people over the years, and they roll their eyes and pretend to believe me. I know what I saw. And I know what you saw too, man. And I absolutely believe you, Mark, without a doubt. It always stays with you. If you guys ever want a small pattern, a pattern that we see amongst each other, the pattern point is how it is etched in your mind forever. Right? No matter how significant or insignificant the experience is. 100% of everybody Everybody. The right sentence says, that moment has etched into my mind forever and never left me. It's like it happened 5 minutes ago. Said every single one of us, right? Every single one of us. Jet lag and being sick. What a deadly combination. What a treat. It sucks the wind out of your sails. But anyway, moving along. That's it for reading emails for right now. I'll definitely be here tomorrow and read some more. The world's a crazy place right now. Sometimes I wonder, if we are here just to be tested. Do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes I wonder if we are here, if we are given life here just to be tested and see how we govern ourselves through this lifetime. You know what I mean? And if we're shitty at it, we don't pass the tests, whatever the tests are, then what? Then what do we got to do? We got to come back here and repeat or something? I don't know. I don't have any clue. It's confusing, but with all the crazy shit that's going on in life and all the decisions we've been somewhat allowed to have, I wonder if it's just one great big crazy ass test. We're being tested. But why would we be tested? If we were created, then whoever created us should know what we're capable of and what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, how we're going to screw up. So why were we created with the ability to do so many nasty ass things? I don't get it. I know I'm rambling, but I've had time to think. Too much time to think, probably. It's funny, the master troller, right? Got a bit. Trump is definitely he is the master of the troll, right? It's kind of comical in a way, but there's been people saying this. He joked about Canada becoming the 51st state, which is kind of funny. And then, of course, the regime up here in capital K, Canadistan, is now trying to scare the people, saying it's a very real thing. It's very real. The people down south, they're going to take over Canada. We got to come together. We got to stick together like we did during COVID, right? You little French piece of shit. But anyway, there's a guy on my social media, on my Instagram. I don't go on Facebook. I know my Instagram's forwards to it. I just usually put hunting and fishing related stuff on my Instagram. And I got a lot of followers there. And there's a guy in there, and he's friends with he's an American. He's friends with Don Jr. He's been on the Rogan show and stuff, and he made a thread today about, what did he say? Something about Canada becoming the 51st state, and all the hunting those guys are going to come up and do in BC. They can't wait to get on the stone sheep and all this, blah, blah, blah. And the thread caught my eye and a couple comments on there, and then he tagged Don Jr. and said, "Hey man, how serious are you guys about this?" And then he goes, "I'm just kidding." And then he goes, "Actually, no, I'm pretty serious." And there's a few other comments, and of course you typical, rednecky people going on there and saying, "You guys couldn't defend this, you couldn't do that." Just mindless comments when it came to the topic of Canada becoming a 51st state. And then I couldn't help myself, I replied, here's my thoughts on it. I've had a handful of people email me and bringing this topic up. First of all, he's the master troll. He's doing it. But in reality, let's just say in reality, all right? In reality, like I've been around a lot of people in the outdoors in the United States, a lot. And what has gone down in a lot of the U.S. with people being able to buy up, tens of thousands of acres of forest land and call it private. You can't put your foot on it. It's taken me back to watch that in a bit. I'm picturing some guy, as I picture some guy in Alabama who's works at IHOP, just to feed his kids, and he wants to be in the outdoors. He wants to hunt, wants to take his kids hunting, but he can't because he can't afford to pay somebody to be in some hunting club. He can't afford to pay to go hunt on private land. You know what I mean? We have that here. We have acres and acres of land. We just go hunting anywhere, anytime. and then now what? In a lot of those whitetail areas, you know, unless you've got thousands and thousands of dollars to lease somebody's farm, you're not going whitetail hunting in a lot of places, right? It's really sad to see it like that. And like I said, when I replied to the comment the guy made, and he said he was serious about it, no doubt. I mean, I couldn't imagine the thought of being an avid American hunter, knowing what's going on in BC here with our stone sheep, bighorn sheep, Dall sheep, elk, grizzlies, black bear, all the deer. This is possibly the best place to hunt in North America, British Columbia. And I said flat out, I go, you know, the only reason I am here, and the only reason I'm here, is because of my life in the real world here, hunting, fishing. That's it. That's it. And the thought of somebody, I said flat out, if somebody came here to take that away from me or diminish it in any way, there's going to be blood. There would be blood. There would be a lot of blood. Would we win the battle? It's not even mathematically available. Of course not. But I'll guarantee you. And I also added, you know, I got so many brothers and sisters in the U.S. I love them so much. I love that. I love them. It wouldn't matter the flag. It would not matter the flag of the invader. It wouldn't matter at all. But, you know, the thought of becoming the 51st states, appealing in some ways and very unappealing in others. The only reason being unappealing is I wouldn't want to see all of this freedom of the outdoors being taken away and sold off to all the people with a whole fuckload of money and making it private. And then 10 times the amount of hunters we got here. It's 10 times the population of the U.S., Canada. 10 times, if not more, the amount of hunters flooding into BC to just give her, right? And take that away from me. There'd be blood. There would be blood. It wouldn't matter the flag. There would be blood. Without a doubt. I'd fight to the death over that one. Anyway, I didn't even know why I'm babbling about that. Maybe it's because I'm sick and tired, a little cranky, and it kind of caught me off. Not off guard, it caught me. Caught me after reply. And then he said, I know, I get it, I'm just kidding. It was just a joke. I'm like, yeah, no, it wasn't. You said flat out you were serious. But anyway, no, that wouldn't happen, but it's tough. It's tough. It's tough being here with how we are situated currently. Coming back from being away, it's amazing, you know. Just the cost of living, opportunities, a lot of quality of life being absolutely smashed into the ground only because of who is in charge of this country. That's the only reason. The only reason. And it's very, very frustrating, you know what I mean? And it's even more frustrating now to see what's going on in the United States of all the corruption being exposed, the billions of dollars of the people's money being taken away, the amount of homelessness, that just the atrocities that have been going down and being exposed, and knowing that our current government here is 100% in bed with the previous government in the United States. So we're still there. We're still there. And it's very frustrating knowing we're still there. And it's also frustrating because so many of my friends in the U.S. would fight and are fighting to win for their quality of life and freedom. And it's just not happening up here. But I just can't cut myself away from what I grew up loving, which is the mountains here, the rivers, and the oceans. It's a very tough thing. If I could cut that umbilical cord, I would be south in a tenth of a second. I can't. It's frustrating, right? Very frustrating. What to do? Man, I'd just love to be a part of a member of a community, a country that's willing to fight. You know what I mean? It's willing to just do it and get it done and make things right. Man, I'm really babbling, aren't I? I better stop. I gotta go see what Sarah's got next for me. I can wash down with a glass of water and hopefully get this crud to go away. Hopefully it doesn't get any better. If it gets worse, I won't be here tomorrow. Anyway, share my story at howtohunt.com. Get me your truth, all right? Get it to me, get it out, get it heard. Be brave. It's painless. What else? If I survive this sickness, I'm probably going to go do some salmon halibut guiding. If you want to get in line for that, book at howtohunt.com. Sarah will be hitting all that fairly shortly. She's having a tough time right now. And she'll be getting all of her hat and shirt orders and everything in the mail that accumulated while she was gone in the next day or two. And I'm going to take my laptop and I'm going to go organize every single one of the look into emails, put them in a folder, and all of you are going to be gotten a hold of to see if you would like to discuss with me your ride called life, and what you know, what you've seen, and what you want to talk about. And we're going to talk about it. All right? Here we go. I'll be back tomorrow.